It's interesting to see the Tea Party and the Republicans already moving in direction to push about the budget. Oh my God, the budget! We have 14 million, 14 trillion, sorry, debt. Yes, true. It's bad. It's not good at all. I totally agree. Actually, it's probably the only thing I agree with the Tea Party. And in some cases, I agree with those tea baggers who wants to cut the military spending. That's the only two things. It's too high, and but reality of the fact is that only the 3% of the American people in the polls care about the budget. If you look at the polls during the last months non-stop, most of the population care only about one thing: jobs. They think that the Republicans are not bringing in. Actually, they are cutting jobs. They are increasing unemployment rate in the public sector, while fortunately Obama worked in the way that in the private sector the unemployment rate is going down, so it balances a little bit more. So they're trying to strip the rights of people all the time, and they continue to talk about the $14 million budget and the $14 million debt. Well, this is a fake thing, and I explain you why. There is a simple thing that people they don't know. All the countries in the world, they are in debt. Probably the only one is not in debt is Liechtenstein, because they have banks. Maybe Luxembourg, but probably Liechtenstein because it's really a center for banks. Maybe Monaco because it's center for banks, so they got the money there. These are the only ones. All the other countries in the world are in debt, and in their history of debt never went down, only goes up. So when people talk to you about debt, it's a fraud, because the problem is not if you have or you don't have debt. Debt is part of our nature in creating debt. The problem if you are able, when you are in debt, to come out of part of the debt, or to invest in a way that you recover and you can balance. Because when you talk about debt, like debt with China, debt with other countries and so on that we have, the reality of the fact is that, for instance, China is in a situation of the risk of a huge inflation, because they are selling stuff at a cheaper price, trying to enter in the market with the worst quality to compensate the debt that the other countries they have with them, at a point that is not working, because these are not quality products. And this is something that step by step will collapse the Bank of China. So there are many ways you can balance the debt that you have with another country. It's true. It's through trade, it's through export, it's through a lot of business that you can do in a way or another. But there is definitely one thing that can change the rules. Actually, two things. It depends how you manage this debt. Look at Bush-like managing the debt. Is spending. He spent money. He cut taxes to the rich people in an unbelievable way, to people that they had 281% increase in income during the last 15 years. So they also, on top of the increase of income, they had bonuses of billions of dollars. They have a golden parachute. You remember Carly Fiorina, when she was fired by Hewlett Packard? She's got $42 million in golden parachute. But she was fired. I mean, the normal people, they just get the kick in the ass. She was fired and she got $42 billion in that. So on top of the income, they got the bonuses, they got the golden parachutes, and the rest of us, the 99%, in the last 15 years, they saw an increase of 1-2% only in our salaries, 50-60 hours work per week, no holidays, no services. That's great, fantastic. So, as I said, there is a big difference. There is a big difference when you create debt for free practically. You put yourself in a war for lies, and then finally you don't do anything to make investments. Actually, you try to keep your business as old as possible, like oil, for instance, fighting against any new energy and so on, when you perfectly know this country like Denmark 10 years ago moved towards alternative energy to be totally fuel independent, and they got actually kind of a good results, because now the country is almost all electric. They invested in infrastructure, and they have a kind of a stable economy, even with the wave of the tsunami created by the America on Europe, with financial tsunami. They are pretty good. Norway is pretty good. Germany is pretty stable. France is okay, but you know, it was much better before the American tsunami in the economy. So let's go back to the other kind of debt, the debt that Obama created. Yes, everybody complained about that. But the point is that if he didn't invest in a way or another, he didn't move the economy, he didn't move the mammoth, the four legs of the mammoth, in infrastructure, in finance, the car industry was going down, and the middle class was going down. If you didn't help in a way or another, creating more debt on that, you couldn't get out. But that debt is connected to investments. It's like when a venture capital practically give you money for investment, and you want to see a return on investment. Well, the reality is that venture capitals in the capitalistic society, which is what we are in now, they invest money, and 80% of these companies in general, they fail, sorry. Only the 20% of them, they go up, they try, and they succeed, giving all the money back, including the money that has been lent to the 80% of the company that's failed, because money needs to move, needs to go from hands to hands, but in an investment way, in an ROI way. That's what the situation is right now. When you just talk about cutting without doing zero investment, the money doesn't move. The middle class doesn't have money because you are increasing taxes to the middle class, you are cutting jobs. So the rich people, they don't make money at all. They make only the money that you are giving as a tax cuts, but in terms of profits, they don't have it, because they have to. They are already reducing the employment rate, and on the other side, people are not buying stuff in the shops. They are not buying. Money doesn't circulate. There is no circulation of money. There is no capitalism. America is a third world country now. It's a country that is in the hands of corporations, with only 1% of the population that make money, and the other one work 50 hours, as I said, 50 hours a week. So when you talk about debt and $14 trillion debt, think about twice. Because you will not get out of this debt just cutting. Oh yes, if you want to cut at least in something that is useless, like military. I agree. You can even revisit Medicare and Medicare or Social Security, but be sure that there are no frauds in that, not just to remove and privatize it, because we saw the privatization of this in Europe. It was a fiasco, a complete fiasco. It didn't work because they want to make profit on people that they cannot make money, like old people. So if you want to make profit on people that they don't give you money but you're just going to debt, it's stupid, it's useless, it's absolutely useless. So yes, you can cut money. You can cut money on a lot of things, and especially don't give more money to the rich people, but force them to invest the money that they have rather than send it to the Cayman Islands. That's what you should do. That's what it is. And then you will see that probably the debt will not go up. The $14 trillion debt will not go up, and maybe it will go a little bit down or it will be stable. But be sure that whatever you do, the $14 trillion debt, the $11 trillion debt, whatever it is, it will not go down, because it never happened in the history of the financial world that there are countries whose debt went down. You can balance certain kind of budget, you can reinvest the money in a way that you create debt but with return on investment. But this is the way the world goes. That's the reason why when you talk about that, there is only 3% of the people, especially the tea-baggers, that consider that the most important thing, like Ron Paul. It's not the most important thing. Job is the most important thing. Investments are the most important thing. That is a consequence of a wrong way of doing. That will increase, and that will be negative only if you want it to be negative. If you want just to grow and you don't see any feedback, any improvement in the economy, any growth in the GDP, as it happened with George Bush. Actually, to be honest, this was Clinton who left Bush $281 billion in surplus. It was kind of a miracle in that direction, you know? So think about it. Peace to everybody.